Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words, a place where women in business come to learn more about health, beauty, body language, and communication. That's a lot. I'm Christine Brunelli, chiropractor and former beauty salon owner turned certified image consultant, helping you glow from the inside out. Today's topic falls under the health category, and that is work-life balance. Is it a thing? Do people really have it? What about these 7- and 8-figure gurus building an empire? Did they stay in balance while they got there? And what did they say about it? What do experts in the mental health space say about it? And what is my personal experience with it so far? I have a lot to share with you, and I think it's going to be eye-opening. Are you ready? Let's dive in. I have this thing, and it's both a gift and a curse, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I get obsessed with what I've made my mind up to do. For example, when I decided I was going on this weight loss journey that I've told literally dozens of times on this show, I went from size 6 to size 0 several years ago. I was obsessed to the point that I was ignoring social circles because it involved food and drink that I didn't want to be around. And I also can get obsessed about a work project, and to the point where I might miss dinner. I won't make dinner because I'm sitting at my computer trying to get focused on getting this thing done. Maybe you are a mom and you're either in a company or you're building one yourself, and you have kids who need you, and you get stuck in a project. You get obsessed on it, and other things get left by the wayside. That obsession can be a benefit because it helps us move forward. But then are we in balance when other things fall away? That's the work-life balance that people talk about. How can I be successful and still do all of these other things well? Is that a thing? And I've really spent some time in the last year or so looking at people that are in my space. I've moved from brick and mortar to the online business space, and brick and mortar feels very comfortable to me. I know it, I can do it, and I know the ropes. I can be obsessed about building a brick and mortar, but at the same time, it doesn't take as much mental energy because I've done it before. Online is taking me all of my mental energy. I mean, every last ounce of mental energy. And some colleagues of mine who have been starting their business online at the same time as me, we've been together in kind of this accountability pod. And some of them have kids at home that are under 13, young little children that need their attention. And my dog feels ignored when I'm working on what I'm working on. I don't know how you would do it when you have children. So it caused me to hit pause and go, what have other people done? And the people in the space that are mentors of mine or teachers of mine where I've enrolled in their programs, they are successful to the tune of 7 figures or 8-figure earners, over $1 million, right? Million or more in the millions, but they're 15 years out. They started 15 years ago. And something I hear a lot of them say, because I follow mostly women, men too, but mostly women who have families and the family role as a mom or whatever, I'll hear them say this, if I were to start over, I would set strong boundaries and only work 4 days a week. Because I'm doing that now and I love it. I wish I would have done this years ago. And other ones will say, if I were starting over, I would do XYZ so that I could have more time with my partner or my family or whatever. And when I look at them saying that, I feel like, yeah, it's easy for you to say that now that you're in the 7- and 8-figure club. But could you have gotten to the point where you are right now as quickly if you had done those things? I challenge that. I don't think that if I were on a weight loss journey, for example, and I decided I'm going to dabble and set these boundaries, and I'm only going to eat healthy this many days a week, and the rest of the days a week, I'm going to indulge, or I'm only going to exercise this many days a week because I want these boundaries. Yes, you can still get to your goals, but it's going to take you longer. So I am really wrestling with listening to these people say, this work-life balance thing, I was out of balance and I don't want to be out of balance anymore. This is how you do it. Go to a 4-day work week, or, make sure that you set strong times around your work hours so that you can be in balance. I don't think if you are trying to be on a fast track of building a business or on a goal of whatever that goal is. And I'm not talking about a nice to have goal. I'm talking about you need this. You want it and you need it. That kind of goal. If you have a budget goal to reach in 12 months, for example, my daughter's getting married in one calendar year, May 2024. This wedding is going to have a high ticket to it. There's a budget goal for that wedding. If I decide, I'll throw some money into the pot every now and then, I'm going to be really working hard at the very end of that deadline, right? If I don't stay disciplined all the way through, starting right now. You see what I'm trying to say there? So is it possible to have balance without hustle? Can we have hustle and rest at the same time? How does that look? What does it look like to have hustle, rest, and fun? I want to know, and I wanted to know. So I started doing some exploring. And part of this came from a business coach that I hired. My time with her is done, and she is a very chill business coach. I'm more of a type A. If someone gives me a role or job to do, I'm going to do it probably within the next 6 hours. If I can't in the next 6 hours, definitely in the next 12. I'm an implementer. If you say you need to do this to get to this place, I do it. I don't have I'll get to it when I get to it kind of thing. But what I appreciated about her and why she was good for me is she got me off of the social media hamster wheel as a business person. Let me explain what I mean. You might relate to this. In 2020 and all the way through 2020 into 2021, TikTok was going bananas, but Instagram was also growing. People were home, so they were on social media. And if you were building a business, which I was, they were teaching. Every single person out there that I saw was saying, you have to post on these platforms 3 times a day. If you could do 4, that's even better. And I'm like, wait, what? And they would explain, people don't get to see your posts all the time. They only see a certain percentage. And there's truth to this. You don't see everybody's posts, do you? There's people that are posting on your social media feeds. You don't see it. And most of the time, you're not going through your entire list of people you follow to see what they posted. And so this teaching, some people call it bro marketing, is hustle. You've got to get out there, create content, push it out, pump it out. That way, if they missed your post, the first one of the day or the second one of the day, you'll catch them on the third one. I was exhausted from social media posting. I mean, I don't love it anyway. I love the people that I get to work with, but the creating the posts, the scheduling the posts, and then there's this whole thing where social media doesn't like when you use a scheduler because they want you to post and then interact. So you can't post and ghost because the algorithm will see that and they'll say, oh, they're just posting and ghosting. And that's not the words they use. That's the words I use. So then you're supposed to post and then go in and engage on other people's posts. It's a whole tactic and technique and strategy to grow on social media. I was in it so deep. And this business coach said to me, stop posting every day. I want you to stop. And I'm like, but how do I grow? And she said, is it building your bottom line? Are these social media posts putting money in your bank account? And I was like, no, but, and she goes, no buts. If it's not putting money in your bank account, they're not going to miss you if you don't post tomorrow, which is the 100% opposite of what all of these other social media gurus were saying. And for that, I am so grateful for her because it took my hands off the wheel to trust the process. And I really want to trust the process because I hate being on a platform a lot. And even though, if you post once or twice a day, it doesn't mean that you're sitting on the platform a lot. You still are creating content and posting. That amount of time is more than I ever want to be. I would love it to be on a platform 15 minutes a day. That's it, total. I mean, that would be my dream life. And this coach helped me with that. And I'm so grateful for it. But her take is be more relaxed about your social media posting and more involved and more intentional about growing the relationships with the people you already have. Nurture those relationships instead of posting to try to build new ones. And that was a different feel. That has a less hustle, intense thing going on. It had more of an intentional thing going on of Those people that you build relationships with will eventually enroll with you and they will help your bottom line. And it was like this light bulb went off. She just said it in a way that made sense. Other people have said the similar words to me, but her way of saying it made sense and it resonated because I didn't want to be off balance with this whole social media thing. Now, this is just one example. When I look at other people, I'm using social media as an example right now because almost everyone listening to this podcast would be familiar with it. Hashtags. I used to be like, which hashtags do I use? And then I started noticing there's a lot of people that don't use any hashtags. I was spending all this time trying to figure out, because again, trying to build my audience, which hashtags do I use? So not only am I posting 3 or 4 times a day, I'm stressing over the hashtags, and I start looking at these people who have great businesses, 7 figures up to 8-figure empires, no hashtags. Now, the argument could be made, they already have an enormous following, they don't need hashtags, but the truth is, hashtags aren't as meaningful anymore. It doesn't matter on social media. You don't need to worry about it. And I started really thinking about, where am I out of balance and how are people who I want to learn from, I aspire to the lifestyle that they at least project that they have on social media, meaning they've built an empire. They have built a very strong 7-figure business by themselves. How did they do it? Were they in balance? How did they have a life outside of their work? Because I just got through a launch and it's my 3rd launch. I love launching personally. I love it, but I don't have little kids at home anymore. I'm in my 50s. I have a dog who's 3 and needs a lot of attention, and he suffers during a launch. He really does. I have to plan strategically when I'm going to be live after he walks a couple miles, so I know he's tired and doesn't need my attention. Doesn't always work. But when I think about people that have children or a 9 to 5 and they're trying to do this on the side, what does that look like? I don't know. I don't know. I tell my friends in my accountability pod, I don't know how you're going to do this with your kids. I am ahead in some regard as far as launching goes, where some of them have not launched yet. And when I say launch, if that's something that doesn't make sense to you, I've created something in my business to sell, and I go out there and I sell it. And there's a open window for enrollment to buy it, and then that window closes down and doors are closed. So when the window is open for enrollment, that's your opportunity to buy or enroll or whatever it is that you're selling. That's a launch. And then the launch is done when the door closes. There's no more time to buy. It'll come back later. Well, I've done that 3 times. That's a launch for like a program or consulting or coaching, but maybe you are selling a product. Maybe you make candles or you make perfume or fragrance or something like that. A launch around that would be when it's brand new, coming to market for the first time, or you created a new version of something that you already sell and you launch it out into the world. Your doors don't close. It just goes out there. But the launch is when you're first announcing it. You're getting it ready to share with the public. And it takes a lot of time and energy. For me, it's coaching and programs, and I love it because I get to meet people from all over the world and talk to them on camera. I go head first. I go hard. I go all in. And this last launch was the most successful I've ever had. And I did it with a business coach who's not a hustler. She calls herself like more soulful. I'm in alignment. And it has caused me to look at, how do we do this and be in alignment? And these are some questions I wonder, and I'm wondering if you have the same ones. Is it easy for someone to say they're in alignment when they don't have to create the income? Is it easy for someone to say they're in alignment when they're supported financially by someone else, a partner or a spouse? Is it easy to say you need to be in alignment, like find good structure, be in less hustle mode and more relaxed mode? Is it easier to say that after you've already earned your 7 figures? Looking backwards, would it have worked for that 7-figure owner if they were more in alignment in their first 5 years? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think balance is a misnomer. Stay with me here. Balance is both a noun and a verb. Am I right? No wonder we have trouble with it. The word itself is in motion. And life is in motion. Everything is in motion. So without a business, without a job, how many plates are you spinning? Think about that. You already are spinning plates. You have family responsibilities, you have social responsibilities, you have community responsibilities, or whatever you're involved in. Then you add your work. It is a lot of plates in the air. Is it possible to balance all of them with one of them not getting a little wobbly? Let's talk about that, because first, I think the word balance is where we're getting ourselves in trouble. You can't stay balanced with something that is continuously in motion, and that is life. It's continuously in motion. And eventually something is going to fatigue when we try to hold our balance. Think about standing tree pose in yoga or something like that. For the duration, if the floor is moving and you're trying to hold a pose because life is moving, eventually something is going to give. That's just the way it goes. What if we approach it more with the word harmony? What if it's not about balance necessarily? What if it's less about how we allocate our time and more about how we feel about what we're doing? Are we in harmony with our best self and what we want? Do we love what we do? Is there something we're doing out of obligation? We don't love it, but we're giving it all of our time, and the thing we really love isn't getting enough time. That's what I think people are referencing when they're saying they're out of work-life balance. They resent what they're putting their time into instead of loving where they're putting most of their time into. Is it a question of balance or is it a question of harmony? That's my first question for you. It's to think about for yourself. Are you in harmony? Is it something that you love doing? Are you drawn to it? Because when we're drawn to something, we get obsessed with it, like I started this episode talking about. We don't feel like we're out of balance. You can look back and say, yeah, I probably was a little out of balance, but I reached my goal. I did the thing. Now, if this is something where it's going to be to the detriment of a marriage or a relationship, I'm not going there. I'm not saying ignore. What I'm saying is be in alignment. And I have a story about that I found online. It's super cool. I think you'll relate to it, especially if you're a parent. This story is out of Parents Magazine, parents.com. And the woman they featured was Shannon Munson, and she was married, traditional marriage. She has a traditional upbringing where the man is the breadwinner, the woman stays home, takes care of the home. She can work, but she's in charge of making sure that the children are raised, the home is taken care of, very traditional. And then they had a baby and they realized, oh my gosh, this is very expensive. And her husband went into full-time med school, and she was in charge of, oh my gosh, I have to go make some extra money to help make ends meet. And she was a personal trainer in a gym. And she started selling some things online, like, I don't know if I can't remember exactly, things like, these are things that you can eat to be healthy. And she started realizing, wow, I can monetize like this item and I don't have to constantly be at work. I could still be a mom. Ooh, I'm leveraging social media. Even though I was in the gym, now I can create this thing and sell it online and make some money. And it turned into something where she could see this could be lucrative. It actually already was. She was already making six figures, $10,000 a month, but it had grown to the point where she realized, okay, I need childcare. And now her husband is in full-time med school, and he said, but is that really a good idea? Now she's the entrepreneur, he's not. And she's thinking, yes. And he said, but this is $2,000 a month out of your profit that you would spend. And how do you know it's going to return on investment? And she said, well, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. And excuse me, you're paying $250,000 for your dream of getting a medical degree, and you don't have a job guaranteed at the end of that. And that opened his eyes. Now, that's my rephrase of how the conversation went, but it was very similar. It was her dream. They were not in alignment at the beginning. She realized she had to invest some money or allocate her time differently to make that dream become more of a reality. She didn't have to put her dreams on the back burner. She didn't have to be completely out of balance and feel like her children were being neglected. She wanted to hire a nanny. And after the conversation, and he was on board, they were in alignment. They hired a nanny, and her business exploded to 7 figures. Not only did she support them 100% financially as the main breadwinner, she bought a new home and put the entire down payment down by herself, completely opposite of how she was raised. She did it because that she realized she was not in alignment. Now, was that work-life balance or work-life alignment? I would use the word alignment. What can we learn from that story besides having the communication to be honest, right? And to realize, well, this isn't working. The way I'm allocating my time is not working. Not I'm out of balance. The way I'm allocating my time is not working. I need to be in more alignment. I need to bring this around so I feel like everything is getting equal, fair time. Nothing is being neglected. But what if we stopped separating work and life? What if instead of building walls between this is my work life and this is my personal life, what if it was more blended? What if they were in more alignment? Like this story. Her work and her personal life were blended. She was trying to work from home and she had kids at home. Maybe you don't work at home. Maybe you are outside of the home working and you still have something going on at home. Is there a way to enroll the household into what you do? Enroll them in your line of work so that they feel like they're part of it. Is there a way to stop having dividing walls so that it feels like you are walking forward whole as a complete person, not a work person in these hours and a mom in these hours and a sister in these hours? You are just you. There are no dividing walls. I kind of did this and I didn't think about it until I was preparing notes for this show when I opened my beauty salon. I enrolled my kids. They were in high school. What I did was, when I say enroll, what I mean is invite them in somehow. And so for this brick and mortar business, my son, he was a senior the year I built that salon. He helped me paint. He helped hang chandeliers. We used his truck to go buy furniture. He got to haul. He had time invested. He felt like he was a part of it. So I wasn't doing all of that by myself. My daughter, she was also in high school, 2 years younger. She got to learn how to run the front desk, how to answer a phone, how to onboard new clients, how to check out new clients. Not only did she have a job that gave her lifelong skills, she had sense of ownership. And she understood when I said, I have to go back to work. She would say, oh, do you have to? She would go with me. Now that's different when you're self-employed. I understand that sometimes this doesn't, work if you're in another company. But is there a way to bring the people along with you so that they feel excited about what you're doing instead of having to build a wall and say, work mom, I have to leave now. So I'm going to turn this hat into my work hat, not my mom hat, and I'll be back in 3 hours or whatever. Alignment. I feel like that is the word. It's not balance, it's alignment, so that we move forward whole. Dr. Stuart Friedman is a physician from the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania, and he was asked in an interview, how do successful people manage this work-life balance thing? Like, what does it look like? And he specializes in mental health, and I loved some of the things that he had to say. And one of the big things he talks about is you take work, home, community, and self, and look at those 4 aspects of your life. He is one that says we should not have to sacrifice one to have the other. We should not have to sacrifice community to have work, or home to have a better self, or whatever. Home, community, self, and work should be in alignment. Again, that word harmony. And he said the way you do that is you become clear in who you are and what you stand for. So those 4 areas are things where we normally have plates in the air. Home, community, self, and work. How do we bring them into alignment so they can all spin and not feel like we're giving up one of them, sacrificing one of them to have the other? I do believe you have to spin some of them a little bit more intensely at times. Other ones can kind of rest, not spin quite as hard. For example, building a new business. It takes time, energy, and effort. Now, the only thing that can collapse time and make it easier is if you have just, extra income lying around where you can pay for someone to do these things for you. If you can pay for advertising, if you can pay for anyone that can do whatever you're spending time and energy on, spend the money and that'll collapse time. It won't take as much energy and those plates will spin equally, right? But a lot of us, especially if you're a solopreneur, you don't have a lot of that expendable income laying around. You do it yourself because it costs a ton of money. Think about things like Facebook ads or general marketing in a community or, maybe painting the interior of your new business space. You can pay someone $30,000 or you can do it yourself. I get it. I've done both. I've done all of it. So that is the only way that you can collapse time and save and keep yourself in work-life balance. But when you're in the beginning, I don't think all of those plates in the air are going to spin at equal intensity. And I'm going to reverse it for a minute. Usually we talk about, we're mom and we're starting a side hustle or a business and the business is taking all of the time. But what if you listening, you've been in work that you love and you put a lot of time, your heart and soul are in it, and then you get pregnant and have a baby? It's reversed. So now you have this job and it's demanding, but it's a demand that you've enjoyed. But now you have a newborn who literally depends on you for everything, sustenance, everything. What's going to have less time allocated to it? Probably your work in the beginning. So where you need to be clear on is, what are your values? If your value is, I am on the cusp of leveling this business up and I just had this baby, maybe there's a way that your baby can work with you. Maybe there's a way you can have a mother's helper with you so that you can do both. And no one has to be ignored or nothing has to be sacrificed. There is no dividing line. But if you're not at the place where you can do that, something's going to have less intensity in the spin, less intensity in the time you allocate, the attention you allocate. And for you, it might be that work has to have a little pause or a little less demand so that the baby can have more attention. We go in seasons, and as women, I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to keep all of those plates in the air, exact spin intensity with excellence. I want to do everything with excellence. I suffer with this myself, but I'm here to say I'm learning to take my hands off the wheel on some things and trust, and to go full tilt in other things and enroll the people in my life to go with me. And if they can't support me and go with me, well, I have a lot to think about there, don't I? I have to be clear on who I am and clear on what my values are. So as a recap, think about your work and life balance as one, not separated by a wall. Think about the time you allocate to both as a way for them to be blurred and blended so that you live in alignment and in harmony, not feeling torn more towards one or the other. Allow yourself the grace and give yourself the permission to take your hands off the wheel like I did with social media, realizing I'm putting my time into something that doesn't even really require me to do it. Where are those things that can help ease up some of the plates you're spinning that you don't need to be? And finally, how can you let your work and personal life become partners, not competitors? How can you bring them together and enroll the people around you in your big dream and your big vision? Okay, my friend, that's my message for you this week. I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Bye for now. If you're over 40 and your work requires you to show up on camera online, I have something coming for you. I have a workshop coming. It is called Ageless Beauty, Makeup Techniques, Tips, and Tricks for the woman over 40 who wants to look radiant in photos and videos. But it's not out yet. It's getting released next week, but because you are my podcast fam, I'm letting you know about it. If you want more details and you want to know about it, follow me on Instagram at Christine Brunelli. You will see it announced there. Okay, I will be back next week. And until then, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.